Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel, Fluent Pro Hub.
Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Fluent Pro Hub, the place where we make learning English fun, practical, and life-changing. I'm so glad you're here today, because we're diving into something that's been on my mind for a long time, and probably yours too. Have you ever found yourself stuck mid-sentence, searching for the right word? Or maybe you felt like your brain freezes when someone asks you a question in English. Trust me, I've been there. And guess what? So have millions of others around the world. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to stay this way. In this video, I'll share exactly how you can speak English fluently without those awkward pauses. We'll talk about why they happen, how to fix them, and most importantly, some super practical tips you can start using today. Plus, I'll sprinkle in some personal stories along the way, because let's face it, we all learn better through real-life examples. Ready? Let's get started. Imagine this. You're at a cafe with a friend, and they ask you, "What did you do last weekend?" You open your mouth to respond, but suddenly your mind goes blank. Your heart starts racing, and instead of answering smoothly, you stutter, hesitate, and eventually mumble something vague. Like, it's frustrating, isn't it? You know exactly what you want to say in your head, but somehow it just doesn't come out the way you imagined. Why does this happen? What's causing these annoying pauses? Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was in a similar situation. I had recently moved to a new city where everyone spoke English, and I was determined to fit in. One day, I attended a casual gathering with some colleagues. Someone turned to me and asked, "So, what's your favorite thing about living here?" Simple question, right? But instead of answering confidently, I froze. My mind scrambled to find the right words, and before I knew it, the moment passed. Someone else jumped into the conversation, and I was left feeling embarrassed and defeated. Does that sound familiar? If it does, don't worry, you're not alone. Pausing while speaking English is one of the most common struggles among language learners, and today, I'm going to help you overcome it. So, why do we pause? There are several reasons, and understanding them is the first step towards solving the problem. First, it could be a lack of vocabulary. When you don't know the exact word for what you want to say, your brain scrambles to find it, or worse, gives up entirely. Second, fear plays a big role. Many of us worry about sounding silly or being judged if we make a mistake. Third, overthinking grammar rules can trip us up. Instead of focusing on getting our message across, we obsess over whether our sentence structure is perfect. And finally, nervousness or anxiety can completely shut down our ability to think clearly. These obstacles might feel overwhelming, but trust me, they're not insurmountable. Once we understand the root causes, we can tackle each one head on. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. Let's start with the first big reason: lack of vocabulary. One of the biggest culprits behind pausing is simply not knowing enough words. But here's the thing. You don't need to memorize every single word in the dictionary. What you do need is a solid foundation of high-frequency words and phrases, the ones people use every day in conversations. For example, mastering connectors like however, on the other hand, and therefore, can help you transition between ideas seamlessly. Similarly, learning filler words like well, you know, and I mean gives you breathing room during conversations. So, how do you build this kind of vocabulary effectively? Here's my first tip. Focus on quality over quantity. Instead of trying to cram hundreds of random words into your brain, prioritize the ones that are most relevant to your daily life. Start with simple categories like food, travel, work, and hobbies. Write down 5 new words in each category every day, along with example sentences. For instance, if you're learning food-related words, you might write, I love eating pizza, or my favorite dessert is chocolate cake. This helps you see how the words are used in context, which makes them easier to remember. Another powerful tool is flashcards. Apps like Anki or Quizlet allow you to create digital flashcards tailored to your needs. Review them daily, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Over time, you'll notice that these words become second nature, and you won't hesitate as much when speaking. Now, let's move on to the second big reason: fear of making mistakes. I'll never forget the first time I tried speaking English with a native speaker. My heart was racing. My palms were sweaty, and I stumbled over every other word. Why? Because I was terrified of looking foolish. But here's the truth. Mistakes are part of the process. Think about babies learning to walk. They fall countless times before they take their first confident steps. The same applies to language learning. Every mistake you make brings you one step closer to fluency. To overcome this fear, try practicing in low-pressure environments. Start by talking to yourself in front of a mirror. Yes, it sounds silly, but it works. You can also record yourself speaking and listen back to identify areas for improvement. Another great tip is to join online language exchange communities. The third reason we pause is overthinking grammar rules. I used to be guilty of this. I'd spend hours memorizing complex grammar structures, only to choke up when it came time to actually use them. Here's the thing. Fluent speakers don't think about grammar while they're talking. They focus on communicating their ideas clearly, even if their sentences aren't grammatically perfect. So, how do you shift from rigid grammar focus to natural communication? One technique that works wonders is called shadowing. Shadowing involves listening to a native speaker and repeating after them, mimicking their pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. You can do this with movies, podcasts, or even YouTube videos. Start by pausing the audio after each sentence and repeating it aloud. Over time, you'll internalize the flow of the language and stop worrying so much about perfection. Another helpful exercise is paraphrasing. Take a simple sentence like, I went to the store yesterday, and rephrase it in different ways. For example, Yesterday I visited the store, or the store was where I went yesterday. This trains your brain to think flexibly and reduces the pressure to construct perfect sentences. Finally, let's address nervousness and anxiety. Speaking English can feel like performing on stage, especially if you're not used to it. But here's a secret. Confidence comes from preparation. The more prepared you feel, the less nervous you'll be. One way to boost your confidence is by role-playing common scenarios. For instance, practice ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, or introducing yourself at a networking event. Write down a few key phrases for each situation and rehearse them until they feel natural. Another powerful tool is visualization. Close your eyes and imagine yourself having a smooth, confident conversation in English. Picture the setting, the people, and the words flowing effortlessly from your mouth. Visualization tricks your brain into believing you've already succeeded, which reduces anxiety. Lastly, remind yourself that nobody expects you to be perfect. Native speakers appreciate effort far more than flawless delivery. So relax, breathe, and trust that you're doing great. Now that we've covered the main reasons behind pausing and how to tackle them, let me share another personal story. A few months after moving to that new city, I decided to join a local book club. At first, I was hesitant to speak up during discussions because I didn't want to embarrass myself. But then I realized something important. The other members weren't judging me. They were genuinely interested in hearing my perspective. So I started small. I contributed 1 or 2 sentences per meeting, gradually building up my confidence. By the end of the year, I was leading entire discussions without hesitation. That experience taught me that fluency isn't about perfection. It's about connection. Keep that in mind as you continue your journey. Let's dive deeper into some advanced techniques to eliminate pauses. One of my favorites is the bridge technique. Imagine your thoughts as islands, and your goal is to connect them smoothly. Instead of jumping directly from one idea to another, use transitional phrases to create a bridge. For example, if you're describing your day, you might say, "First, I woke up early. Then, I had breakfast. After that, I went for a walk." These connectors, first, then, after that, help you maintain a steady flow of speech. Practice using them regularly, and soon they'll become automatic. Another technique is to embrace silence strategically. Contrary to popular belief, short pauses can actually enhance your communication. They give you time to gather your thoughts and make your speech sound more thoughtful. Just avoid filling every gap with filler words like or as this can make you sound unsure. Instead, take a deep breath and continue confidently. Now let's talk about consistency. Building fluency takes time and effort, but the key is to stay consistent. Set aside at least 15 minutes every day to practice speaking. You can do this by narrating your daily activities aloud, describing objects around you, or summarizing articles you read. The more you practice, the faster you'll improve. Another tip is to immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. Surround yourself with English content. Watch movies. Listen to music and read books in English. Pay attention to how native speakers express themselves and try to mimic their style. Over time, you'll develop an intuitive sense of how the language flows. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what we've learned today. First, expand your vocabulary strategically by focusing on high-frequency words and phrases. Use tools like flashcards, contextual learning, and journals to reinforce your memory. Second, overcome the fear of making mistakes by practicing in low-pressure environments and embracing errors as stepping stones to success. Third, loosen up your rigid grammar focus by using techniques like shadowing and paraphrasing. Fourth, reduce nervousness through role-playing, visualization, and reminding yourself that effort matters more than perfection. Finally, adopt advanced techniques like the bridge method and strategic silence to enhance your fluency. These strategies may seem simple, but they're incredibly powerful when applied consistently. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. Celebrate every small victory along the way, and don't be afraid to keep pushing forward. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Fluent Pro Hub. Your support means the world to me and helps me create more content like this. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, speak fearlessly. See you soon.
If you found this video helpful, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe for more engaging content to improve your English. Keep practicing and take care.